We have something to celebrate. Woo woo! Hey everyone, Fina here from Fina Reads. Welcome to another episode of Book Ramblings, and rambling we will today, I promise you that. Starting with a quick celebration. I don't know if it's really one, but I thought I wanted to share that I had my first internet troll commenting on one of my videos. I'm so excited about this. It was one of my older videos. I did a vlog style review for Empire of the Vampire a while back, and it was more meant for me to, because, you know, I read the book, I read 100 pages of the book, I didn't like it, and I just had to talk with someone about it, so I recorded it, and then my little Discord group encouraged me to upload it. I'm usually not doing negative reviews, so please don't get used to that. But yeah, someone didn't like that I didn't like this book, and then decided that I'm an unsatisfied, man-hating, unmarried woman because I'm not wearing jewelry, and that I'm now really offended by reading this. And I hate to disappoint, but I thought it was more hilarious, and I thought, what a huge waste of time for you to write this, for me to just delete the comment then. So, yay, internet trolls! Woo-woo! Let's talk about the books that I've read over the last 2 weeks. And I have to say, my reading was not that great. If you've watched my, stats videos and whatnot, you know that I usually read 100 pages a week. And I did not get even close to that in the last 2 weeks. So I haven't read much. But what I read was high quality. And that's even more important, than the number of pages. Let's start with the most important book at the moment. And that would be Green Rider. The Green Rider read-along is riding along. Okay, that was... Whew, I really need to stop drinking whatever I'm drinking. But we started our Green Rider read-along with Green Rider, book 1 of the series. And I think we have about 5 or 6 people that finished the book by now. And about 3 or 4 are currently reading it. The month is still long. We have still more than the half of January to come. So there's still enough time to join, to read it with us. The comments are fantastic. You have no idea how excited I am, how happy all of this conversation on my Discord makes me. I'm so excited to see what calls out to you, and the scenes that get you excited, and the characters that get you excited. I'm super happy that people love this series as much as I do, and that it's not, my weird taste or anything, but that it is genuinely a good fantasy series. And I cannot wait what people say as the series continues, because you are in for something, people. There's a lot more to come. I've read it, 7th, 8th, 9th, I don't know. I've read book 1 so often because this is kind of my go-to book when I want to read something and I'm in a funky mood and I need to read something good or something. Then I always go back to this one because I just love the story of Kerrigan, how she becomes a Green Rider, how she stumbles into this whole world, and everything that happens to her. This feisty little girl is really something. I always go in this story thinking I know what's coming on, and then I always realize how much is actually happening in this book and how many characters we at the end of the day are still introduced to, but in a really smooth way. You're just, it just is flowing away and things are just happening and you're just taken into the story. One person on the Discord even, she started with the beginning, and then at a certain point she just couldn't put the book down and finished it pretty much within 2 days and was so excited about everything. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm so glad I got to read it again. And I'm excited to continue with, 1 book per month. That's what the read-along is. Book 2 that I read in the last 2 weeks was Stephen King's The Long Walk, and that was kind of an unofficial? Let me know, what is actually the right way to say that? Unofficial or unofficial? Anyway, it was nothing advertised. We didn't, put it out there. It was just between the two of us. If you want to join, you're more than welcome. That is happening on Jake's Discord. But what I actually want to say is that we're buddy reading this. I was also a reread. I've read that book before in German though, which, it was such a long time ago. It was fine. I didn't really, in my head, didn't really make a difference. So I remembered a lot of the things. But I also discovered a lot of things, just in case you don't know what this book about. So here we are following Ray Garrity because he signed up for kind of a government type program which selects 100 young boys every year, and they have to walk. And the winner of this long walk gets whatever they want for the rest of their life. There's just one catch on the long walk. It's not a certain distance that you have to walk and the first one arrives, but literally the last person alive gets that prize. Very morbid, very factual from a writing perspective, interestingly enough. So there is not a lot of deep emotions going on, given what you're sacrificing actually for this walk and for a chance of the prize. You're just following Ray over the long walk, and you learn more about him, why he signed up, why the people around him signed up. You learn a little bit about the long walk itself and how it came to be and what the rules are and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that bugged me a little bit about is you don't really learn why it is a thing in typical Stephen King manner, that some things are just open, for interpretation. At the end of the day, though, Jake gave it 4 stars. He didn't like the ending. And I originally wanted to give it 4 stars too, but then my head didn't stop thinking about it. And I continued thinking about, ooh, I have this theory, or hey, maybe the ending is that because of what happened at a different point in the book. Just because of that, because I couldn't let go and it kept my head like spinning in my head. That's why I had to give it 5 stars. It's just fantastic. And I loved how he approached the storytelling of this, how he wove in explanations on the long walk, and some of the backstory. It was not info dumpy, like here's everything that you have, which you could have easily done, but in very clever ways, kind of he wove it into the initial chapters and then also throughout the book. Also, I really enjoyed how he showcased the insanity the boys are going through. And similar to what I've said earlier about others, how they experience Green Rider, I had that with this. There was just a point of no return. So I just had to finish the book and continue because it just hooked me. The way he described what the boys are going through, what they're thinking, the way their experiences, their reasoning for joining that. He did it so well, and I could completely believe that young boys would do something like this. Next up, 2 books that I'm in the middle of as we speak. Let's get the bit more boring one out of the way. I'm reading HBR's 10 Must-Reads, Definite Management Ideas of the Year from Harvard Business Review 2022. If you've never seen those HBR books, they are usually a summary of some of the articles that you can find online on Harvard Business Review. And this one has 10 articles with topics relevant for 2022, and it's related to company innovation, management styles, diversity in the workplace, all those kind of things. And it's kind of for work, but also kind of for my own education, because diversity in general is a topic I'm really interested in. I'm actually speaking at a work event about diversity in the workplace. It's a training session for managers. I don't work in HR, so it's really just something that I'm passionate about and that I'm reading a lot about. And I've read 4 of the articles. The first one, Begin with Trust, Cultural Innovation, Rules of Competition, and then Negotiating Your Next Job. Begin with Trust was really interesting, great recommendations, especially if you're leading teams or if you're a manager or if you have managerial responsibilities. There was one section around diversity and how you can help share diverse knowledge across your entire team to get a broader knowledge. Was really well done, and I found this really fascinating. Cultural innovation was interesting, generally interesting, not nothing that I will probably implement on a regular basis. It was just an interesting article. And the other were they were good articles, but I was just not very interested in that. And then we get to the book that is probably one of the weirdest books that I've read when it comes to fantasy so far. I'm not sure yet if I mean that weird in a good or bad way. So first of all, nice flop. I love it. But that's The Darkness That Comes Before from R. Scott Baker. Generally, I'm still more on the I like it side. I'm about 100 pages in right now. But it is definitely very different to what I've been reading so far when it comes to fantasy. So first of all, the writing style is rather unique. I wouldn't call it flowery per se, but it has flowery elements in it. He describes things very well, but not at the same time. It is super weird. I'm telling you, you need a little bit of time to get used to it. Definitely. Once you're in, at least that's how I experience this right now. Once I was in kind of the way or understood how he's setting the sentences up and how he's writing it, I could roll with it. It's not a book that you cannot read with 100% focus. If my head starts spinning, and I miss a sentence or two, I'm completely lost. So I have to go back and read those sentences again. And then the other thing is he doesn't do any setup. He throws names at you left and right, and you just have to deal with it. And thankfully, there's a glossary in the back. I used that quite a bit already. And at one point, I was just like, okay, whatever, throw names at me. I don't care. We'll figure it out as we go. The weird thing, though, is because it's all made up, right? The whole world, all the names, and they're not easy names. It's not Elizabeth or something. It's really weird names, weird pronunciations and whatnot. So sometimes I don't know if what he is talking about is a city, a person, or a thing. I was like, huh? And it's one of those books that you could sit down and you could analyze every sentence. I'm not someone who sits down and says like, hey, he said this. This is what I think he means with that. Oh, but he could also mean this. But then he said something else on that page and then start theorizing about things. Usually I'm not like this. I know, didn't I just say it? That's what I did with The Long Walk, but that was kind of unintentionally. My head just didn't stop spinning. I'm not proactively going out there and do that. I hope that makes sense. I'm not quite sure. All of this I know sounds like I should actually DNF the book because it's not what I usually do, but I don't want to. Something keeps me engaged and I can't pinpoint what it is, but something keeps me engaged on this book and something keeps me going. I'm definitely interested in, don't ask me about names, but there are two characters in here that I'm actually really interested in. I really enjoy it. The one thing though, it says on the back, just because I just saw it, is like, hey, if you like George R.R. Martin, this is great. No, this is so different than Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin takes you by the hand and walks you through everything. He slowly introduces you to the world and the characters, and he explains everything, and in detail he explains to you how things are related and whatnot. None of this is happening here. None. You have to do the work as the reader, definitely. But again, I'm 100 pages in. This is just my first impression of the book. I could be completely wrong. It could be something entirely different what he's trying to do with what he's doing here right now. The plot makes sense. The way the fractions and the religion and the magic is set up, it's ambitious and vague at times. So there's really a lot of open for interpretation. Super interesting. I'm definitely very intrigued still. And I hope I can actually make a dent into this book because I have a long weekend. I don't know. It's weird. To summarize, this is... And then we spend usually a couple of minutes to talk about what I think about reading in the next 2 weeks. The next two books that I'm actually really interested in reading is the second book in the Winter Night trilogy, which is The Girl in the Tower, and Blackstone Heart. Yes, that's what it's called. So those are the two on my January TBR that I think call out the loudest to me. That's not how you say that, but you know what I mean? That I kind of want to tackle first, especially I think after Baker, I need something a little bit lighter and less flowery and less vague. So it's probably going to be one of those two. Blackstone Heart, again, I actually don't know anything about it. I love the cover. It's a patron buddy read over on Andrew's Wizardly Reads channel. And The Girl in the Tower is a read-along that Evie organized by She Was Only Evie, and that's really enjoyment for me. That's book 2 in the I already said that, book 2 in the Winter Night trilogy. I loved book 1. If you've seen my top 5 fantasy books, you know that it was high up there. I just want to know how the story of Vasya continues. I just want to know how it continues. That's kind of where we are. I think we rambled enough, right? Did we ramble enough? Is there anything else that we should talk about? If there is, let me know down in the comments. You know, I always love to hear from you. Just no internet trolls, right? I mean, I think we all have better things to do than deleting random comments. And you have better things to do than writing this stuff. Seriously, you don't waste the time on that because I delete it anyway. There's no point in it. So, guys, oh my goodness. Anyway. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks so much for listening to my ramblings all this time. I hope you enjoyed them. As you know, I want to hear your thoughts on the books that I've been reading. If you have similar thoughts about them or what your thoughts are. If they're not similar, that is totally fine as well. And then I hope I see you with my next video. Till then, have a great rest of your day.